This is not the song we were gonna play.
Why are we doing "Move Like Jagger"?
This is better.
Well, you never know what song is going to play for Hot Topics.
Sometimes you just have to go with it.
So that's not what you meant to play.
But as my usual self, when I don't have my glasses on, I don't see what I'm doing.
Well, I was like, well, that seems like an odd. Well, it didn't seem like it kind of fit the theme that you were kind of talking about earlier. But that's okay.
It actually did. So good morning, everyone. It's Hot Topics on a Friday. Woo! We're here on a Friday.
Yes. Well, I woke up this morning with an immense amount of gratitude for my voice-activated Alexa.
Yes. Why would Alexa tell you to wake up?
Well, not only did Alexa tell me to wake up, which was very good, but last night, you know, when you get into bed and you're just like, you're ridiculously comfortable and it's like, you don't want to move. And then you realize you forgot to set your alarm.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I have to get up. I have to reach my phone. And I'm like, oh, I don't. So I'm very happy. So I was like, wake me up at this time. And then this morning I was like, didn't want to wake up, didn't want to move. And the alarm went off. And I'm like, oh, just snooze. And I was like, I so much gratitude for her today.
Yeah, I love Alexa too. She rocks. So does Siri. But Siri, you have to go pick up. Alexa's just sitting there.
Exactly. So I have immense amount of gratitude for that today. So I'm very, very happy.
Good.
So I woke up with gratitude.
What's going on? What's on the top of your list today?
Well, I think the top of my list today is the word re-jigging. So
I should have played that song, you know, get jiggy with it. Da, 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 da.
That would have been a good one.
That would have been perfect.
See, the problem is we don't talk ahead of time. So
I forgot about that song. Get jiggy with it. I'm going to play that next time.
Exactly. So I think we've used the word rejigging approximately 1 billion times over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So I was actually looking back and I'm just trying to think of how long we've been working on our community. Probably for a couple of months. We've been setting everything up. It's a lot of work.
A lot of work. Not for the faint of heart.
Not for the faint of heart, but absolutely doable. But I think the biggest challenge was that when you first have an idea, and this kind of, you know, goes into a bigger thing. When you first have an idea, you think it makes sense in your brain.
Yes.
And then you develop the idea and we put it all together and we both knew we were both on the same page. We're good. Yep. We're going through. And this is why public service announcement to anybody who has a business, anybody launching anything, anybody, always do a beta.
Yes.
Always do testing, always bring in people, always give it to them for free, asking for feedback, because now we kind of put it together with our own understanding.
Right.
And then we kind of soft launched a lot of feedback. And then over the past week and a bit, we're like, rejig. We need to rejig this. Yeah. We need to rejig that. All good. I mean, the original that we had, everything was all good, but it's like, we need to rejig this. We need to I just feel like we're saying we just need to slight changes, like just slight updates along the way.
To make it easier to understand.
Yeah. So we've rejigged.
Well, now we're rocking.
So important. So yes, absolutely. Roger that.
Yes.
I just can't. Yeah. So I think we've rejigged things a few times. But again, always go back to your beta group. Always ask them for feedback. And that's what we've done.
Right.
And now I feel like literally yesterday, I think was my last rejigging. So again, I've used the word rejigging, rejig. But you need to make sure before you do sort of an official launch, even if it delays the launch.
Yes.
Because I think it's important to make sure.
Yeah. We have no problem delaying things to make sure they're right for our community, for the people that want, you know, to follow us or to be part of our group.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to, I just think it's better to test out a smaller group And then, of course, make sure everything's working before you kind of put it out to the masses. So we've rejigged things a few times. And in the beginning, you kind of have this feeling of, ugh.
Yeah.
Oh, but we thought it was so good. Like we
to change every page.
But we were done. And then and then it was, okay, we think we're good. Thank you. Again, immense gratitude for the people who joined our community early, for the people who gave us that feedback. We were able to, again, rejig, which is my word of the month, I think. Word of the day. Rejigged it. We went back to them. Again, you think it's good. And then you're like, well, this doesn't really, because when people start asking you too many questions, you realize that it's not clear.
Right.
So you need to rejig. So we've rejigged a few times.
Yeah. And I think for a lot of people that are out there and say, well, I don't have a beta test group and I don't have anything. Think about just even the simple people that you're working with. I mean, for us, Spencer, who does our social media, when she comes back and asks us, what does this mean? A light bulb has to go off, right? You have to go, oh, if it's not clear to her who does our work,
then there's a problem.
So
sometimes you're too close to the situation. You're too close to your program. You're too close to your business. You're too close to your services. And you understand everything because it's all in your head.
Right.
So the knowledge that you have in your head mixed with the information that's out there on a website or a landing page or whatever makes sense. The problem is that the people who are sending them don't have the knowledge in your head. No. So it's not as clear.
And it was at the point where I was a little bit confused when she asked the question. I was confused explaining it to her, and that's when it was like, okay, let's knock this down and break it down to very simple. And then when we did, and you spoke with somebody in our group, they loved it, right? They were like, oh, now I get it. This makes sense.
Yeah. It was like literally this, it's like, okay, so now I know how to speak to it. Now I know what questions, and now like literally she said, everything is so clear to me now. And it was like, it's kind of a cliche phrase, but it was perfect because she got it, which means that you didn't have to have the knowledge that was in our head in order to build it. So sometimes I think even if you don't feel like you have a community, build one.
Yeah.
Start literally by saying, you're our beta group. We're going to bring you in for free. It's free. Please come in and join for free.
Yeah.
And then ask them for their feedback. Ask them for their opinion. This is what we're thinking. What do you think? Or have them understand that they're coming in for a month to test everything out. Right. I love doing that.
Yeah, me too. We do all the betas that anyone asks us. We're always pick me. We're always first in line.
Absolutely.
We don't mind all the hiccups. It's the same reason why we support all the software developers on AppSumo and that, because they are still learning their way, and they're going to give you a deal because they're learning. I mean, we invited everyone to our first mastermind dinner for free, because we wanted to understand if we were using the right mechanism to actually run it, which was great. And then which we kept, but then some other ways we delivered our information, we changed. And it wasn't just one thing. It wasn't just what the wording in a landing page was. It was what software we were using, how we were delivering it, everything. And the good news, I mean, if you're on your own, it's a little challenging, right? If you're on your own, so you need to at least partner up with somebody who's going to help you, walk you through it. Know somebody who's done it. It doesn't have to be a friend. You can reach out to somebody who's already doing it, right? And saying, well, could I pick your brain for an hour? Most people say yes.
Absolutely.
Right? Most people don't say. And with Stacy and I, it's a little bit easier because there's two of us, right? And so we can bounce ideas off each other. We both understand tech, which helps because it's harder when somebody doesn't. But we both have our different strengths, right? So it really works out well for us. But you really need somebody else to be able to say, "Let me just walk you through this." What do you think?
Absolutely. But I also think before you kind of go too far down the road, it's also understanding the software that you're using, because in the beginning of building something, you have this much knowledge.
Yeah.
But as you start to build, you learn more, and I go, oh, wait a minute, I could have done that differently. Or wait a minute, oh, this is how you kind of think over here, I would like to be able to do this.
Yeah.
The platform does not enable you to do it the way you thought. So you kind of give up on the idea and you say,
Right.
okay, well then we'll completely change the way that we're doing things. And then you're kind of over here later in learning where you know this much and almost all of it. And you go, oh, wait a minute. Let me go back to this concept. I can actually do things the way I wanted to with this slight rejig.
It's a little hack. It's a little hack.
Right. And
we like to hack other
up,
people's software.
Exactly. It's so true. So understanding that literally, like, it's like light bulbs go off with original ideas, which is fantastic. And you realize you can execute it the way you kind of originally thought. So
and
it's been a lot of learning.
A lot of learning, but it's really, it's cool when you can do it because, we were stuck at a few spots and we were like, well, we really wanted to do this. So, and we never let it go. Right. Cause the first thing was, no, it doesn't do it. And we're like, well, hang on a second. It's gotta be a way.
There's always a way. That's the other public service announcement for today. There's always a way. There's always a workaround. There's always a way to make things happen when you originally going to dive into a program. And even if the program developers themselves say no.
Right.
But you can.
Exactly. And that really is, it's a public service announcement for you guys, by the way. Make sure if you're if you are
the theme of today, rejigging and public service announcement.
Which is gonna really work into what I'm talking about. But it is. I think we forget, as if you're an entrepreneur or even if you're in the corporate business world, we sometimes have a tendency of talking to ourselves, right? Especially in corporate, more than entrepreneurship, to be honest, because in the corporate world, and I was there for 25 years, you have a tendency of doing corporate speak throughout your organization, and nobody else outside your organization knows what you're talking about, right?
At all, ever.
So you really need to go outside and say, does this make sense? Because sometimes, again, once you just get one person's opinion that's on the outside, you're like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Right.
Well, and it's like a client that I was working with this week. She had her whole plan built, her programs, how she was positioning it. And all I asked her was one question. And she went, oh,
yeah,
I don't there was just a dot that wasn't connected.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't understand how to get from here to here. And I don't really understand what that means. And then she's like, okay. Again, the knowledge that's out there mixed with the knowledge in your head makes for a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
And I think,
and the best thing for what I can, most people are stuck at the same point where they don't really understand where the disconnect is between them and the client, right? Them and your client, you have that disconnect of what your service is, what your offer is, and do they understand? And that's a huge one. And my biggest advice is, and the one that I think we learn the best from, better than even beta testers, is we go back to our social media marketing person. And because she's always on us saying, well, like, how can you explain that in one sentence? Because she doesn't care about what we're talking about. She just, in her brain, she's like, how do I put that on a social media feed? Or how do I put that on a marketing slide and make people understand? So it forces us to go, oh, how do we put that in a bite? So if you don't have to have a social media person, what you can do is simply say, if I'm going to post my idea, how do I post it so that when somebody looks at that one picture, that one slide with only a sentence on it, will they understand what I do? And that's the easiest way for, if you don't want to do beta, if you don't want to do all this stuff, you just want to test your idea, not your whole software program concept. But if you just want to test your idea, put it out there and see if people understand. Because we are constantly streamlining it, rejigging, making sure. See, we're going to play that today. I forgot to tell you, Stacy, we have to start just singing again. No playing the songs. We just have to sing them because I think YouTube blocked one of our hot topics. Yeah. So we have to cut that out.
No song for you.
No song for you. So we have to
but I think I had so one of our girl that I was speaking with just about different things that we're doing put it really well. She's like, shifting gears, ambitious ideas, followed by aha moments, sometimes head banging against the desk, then fixing, simplifying, learning, and progressing, but it'd be pretty boring otherwise. And I'm like, that's exactly it. Like,
yeah, I mean, but you know, here's the thing. If you rejig 5 or 6 times and people don't get it, it's not a good idea. Okay.
Right. And that was the part. And I think what I loved about our process was the fact that we were rejigging small things. So like everything was really good. Everyone loved
everything. Yeah.
Super amazing feedback in regards to the community and how it's laid out and the look and the feel and the sense of connection and collaboration, and like everyone loved. So it was just, for us, it was minor things,
right?
But those small things made a big difference.
Yeah.
So that was the huge learning, instead of having, so you're right. Like if you're rejigging your entire plan and rejigging everything 5 or 6 times, no, not a good thing. If you have to do minor tweaks in regards to be able, just to be able to simply communicate that through social media posts, etc., that's different.
Right.
And that's kind of where we were at, which was great. So the minor rejigging was good. So our overall concept was good, but we just had to rejig some stuff. So yes, I've used the word rejig 1,000 times.
Which falls right into my discussion when I'm going to talk about hair.
You've rejigged your hair?
So this is kind of interesting because it's the same kind of topic. But so a couple of weeks ago, we talked about middle parts versus side parts, remember? And all the little kids who said skinny jeans and side parts were done. And, and it wasn't me thinking, oh, I have to do a middle part. Oh, I have to do this. What it was thinking about why sometimes you do something and why it is, why you just stick with it, right? So what I did that next day was, remember, if you guys are watching Hot Topics, I parted my hair in the middle and I said, okay, what do you think, right? And so it was just kind of humorous and funny for me. And some people were like, I love it. Some people were like, I like it the other way, which is, great because you always get feedback. But here's the thing that came out of it. You can see, is it center? Is it middle? I don't know. It's kind of in between, right? But here's the thing. I stopped fighting with it. And that's what I learned when I did it. I used to fight with my hair because I used to always side part it and it would take a lot of time and blah, blah. I don't have great hair. It's pretty thin and stuff. But I stopped fighting with it. So when I got up in the morning, and this is what the girl does my hair, she said, just let it go where it wants to go.
Okay.
And so I let it go.
What do you mean let it go?
Where it wants to go. So I dry my hair, I brush it wherever it ends up. That's where it parts for the day. And the interesting thing, and you guys are going, why am I talking about hair? Because I realized that that's the biggest problem or challenge. And when we thought about rejigging, that's the biggest problem most of my clients, as coaching clients, have, which is they're trying to force themselves to be something and it's not really them. Right? So it takes so much work to be this other person. It takes so much work to be who they think they're supposed to be, or their program is what they think people want. And when you realize how much easier it is to just let go, which was the song we were supposed to play.
Not Mick Jagger.
First it was like, oh, and then it was Lady Gaga. Then it was, anyway. So, but what's interesting is in all of this is having to come back to that realization. So for the last, week or so, I've just been letting my hair go and I never think about it all day. Never happened before, ever, in years and years and years, because I used to worry about it corporately, because I wanted to make sure it looked right corporately. And so all these years, I've been always playing with it all day long. And now I don't think about it all day and I don't care because it's easy now. So here's the thing. People asked us about why we started the community, because we have we both have successful services. We have a great program called Global Impact Accelerator, and that's where we were going to focus on, right? We were only going to worry about our global impact and the other one that's coming out soon. But we both realized that we love doing lives. We love the community. We love to learn new things. We like to talk to interesting people. And we didn't like how we were forced, right? In our Facebook groups and stuff, we were forced to do our work that way because we thought That's what we had to do. And both of us, Stacy and I, you can tell when we don't like to do something.
We don't do it.
Because we don't do it and we're kind of miserable.
Yes, it was like I felt icky. It was like I would go over and I love all social media, doing it for many, many years, but it was just like, ugh.
Exactly.
Like it did.
And so this community where we started a mastermind dinner and a wine club and life impact, like tonight we're talking about laughter, yoga, and meditation. Like how
so
fun
excited.
is that? You're going to learn, you're going to get better. It's going to help your business, but it's like something that we want to do. So here's the thing. Remember I said, don't fight. We stop fighting. We're doing what we want to do, but we probably work more hours, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like we're working more hours because it's more fun, because we're letting go of what we think we're supposed to be working and focusing on. So if you're working hardcore 3 hours a day on something that you don't really like to do, that is way harder than working 8 hours on something that you're having fun with, right?
And the interesting piece for that, thank you, Linda, just saying that our community rocks. But I think it comes through in our vibe. It comes through in how we present ourselves. And what we're realizing was in the community where we felt a little bit forced before, our energy was different, where, it was lower. We weren't as into it.
No.
And now we're in a place where we actually are like, oh, this is great. We're happy. We're excited. We love sharing information. And we found a fantastic place in which to do that and bring people together, and, they can collaborate. So again, the feedback that we're getting, I love, because it's like, I love you guys. I love the community that you've built, all of this stuff. And it really feels like, I don't even know what word she used. Just feeling that feeling of connection and true community, which I love. So, because that was the whole point.
Right.
Whereas before we couldn't build that. So it's interesting, as soon as you rejig or shift gears or whatever word you want to use, or let it go the way it's supposed to.
Yeah. And it's kind of like why we're doing hot topics. I mean, Stacy and I, every time we would start talking before our lives and that, and people were guests, they would always like, well, this part, we'd rather listen to this. so we
Isn't
decided,
that funny? I forgot about that.
So we were like, okay, we'll just put our before lives into hot topics and we'll talk about what we think can make a difference. So, I mean, like today, if you probably, if you're watching, you probably heard or saw yourself when Stacy was like, hey, we got to rejig. Hey, it's not that clear. You might have saw yourself when I said, are you really fighting who you are? Or are you really doing what you want to do? And that is going to make a much bigger impact than other things, right? So you have to just embrace that, okay, this isn't a big deal. Like we come on, we're good. I'm in a jean jacket today.
Let me just hold up. I want to see the pins that are on your jacket.
See my pins, guys?
Oh, so, nice.
There's a artist, Julie Campbell, and she, you can grab her stuff. It's Jushmu, JUSHMU, jushmu.com. She's on Etsy and on Shopify, I think, too. Anyway, local artist. She does these cool little pins. I like to throw them all over my jackets.
I love that.
Aren't they great? And they're all different. And, sometimes you're in a mood and it's the perfect pin. But like I said, it's just hang out and do, wear what you want. Do what you want. I mean, don't get me wrong. There is a time and place. So if you're going to go to the board of directors meeting, you should probably dress up a little bit, right? And make sure you comb your hair. We always like to look presentable, but we also want you to not fight who you are, right? So there's a difference. There's a bit of a line there, but if you have been one of those people who have been doing the same thing for a year and you're not getting any traction on your business, then you're probably fighting it. You're probably doing something that isn't the right thing for you, or that you haven't really done the right way. That's in tune with who you are. So if you don't have a coach, or you don't have a mentor, or you don't have somebody that can give you advice, join a community, ask for help, ask people to say, hey, would you hire me? Would you buy my program? Would you buy my service? Like, what is it that's holding the business back from you? And that way you'll actually be able to start enjoying your time just like we do every day.
And on that note, join us tonight, laughter, yoga, and meditation. Super excited about that one.
Yes, it'll be great.
Have a good Friday.
See you guys.